There's a conversation happening in your home right now. Every day, your cat is speaking. You probably think they want food, or attention, or to be let outside. Sometimes that's true. But sometimes they're trying to tell you something that has nothing to do with any of those things. They're trying to tell you that you're not okay. Not in a vague, mystical sense. In a specific, biological, chemically grounded sense that science is only beginning to fully map. Your cat has access to information about your health that no device you own can measure. And they've been trying to communicate what they find for the entire duration of your relationship. In 2010, a study was published that sent shockwaves through the veterinary and medical communities. Researchers had discovered that cats were spontaneously altering their behavior in response to specific chemical changes in their owners' bodies. The changes they were detecting weren't dramatic. They weren't the result of obvious illness. They were subtle, preclinical, the kind of changes that wouldn't register on a standard blood panel. But the cats noticed, and they responded. The research opened a door that the scientific community is still walking through. Every time your cat comes near you, sniffs you, rubs against you, sits close to you, they're performing a chemical analysis that would require sophisticated laboratory equipment to replicate. The human body is constantly producing and releasing hundreds of volatile organic compounds. These compounds change with diet, with stress, with sleep, with hormonal fluctuations, and critically with disease processes. Your cat's nose can distinguish between these profiles with a sensitivity that dwarfs human capability. They can detect parts per trillion, concentrations so low they're essentially invisible by any other means. Persistent sniffing of a specific body part is the clearest signal in the clinical literature. When a cat returns repeatedly to the same location, focusing on it with the attention they'd give a mouse behind a wall. In documented cases, this behavior has preceded diagnoses of skin cancer, breast cancer, abdominal cancers, and infections. In nearly every case, weeks to months before clinical diagnosis. If your cat sniffs one specific place on your body repeatedly over days or weeks and shows no interest in surrounding areas, this is a signal worth taking to a doctor. Sudden and unexplained clinginess is the second pattern. A cat that has always been independent, who suddenly becomes persistently attached, may be responding to a change in your biochemical profile. The most common driver of this change is elevated stress hormones, which is itself medically significant if prolonged. But other drivers include the early chemical signatures of illness. Behavioral changes around your sleep are particularly significant. Cats are attuned to your respiratory patterns during sleep. Changes in breathing rate, changes in oxygen saturation reflected in your blood chemistry, irregular rhythms, all produce signals that a cat sleeping near you can detect. Reports from people with undiagnosed sleep apnea often include descriptions of cats waking them during sleep, pressing on their chest, pawing at their face. This behavior may be the cat responding to signatures of oxygen deprivation. Changes in how your cat interacts with your breath are worth noting. The breath is one of the richest sources of volatile organic compounds in the body. Diabetic ketoacidosis produces a distinctive sweet smell that human noses can detect in advanced stages. Cats can detect it far earlier. Liver disease produces one breath chemistry, kidney disease another. A cat that suddenly becomes intensely interested in your breath, or conversely recoils from it when they previously showed no reaction, is registering a chemical change. Cancer detection by animals is real. The mechanism is understood. Cancer cells undergo metabolic processes that differ from healthy cells, producing volatile organic compounds that leak into the body's output. In clinical studies with trained dogs, cancer detection accuracy has exceeded 90% across multiple cancer types, using breath samples alone. The dogs had no contact with the patients. Cats haven't been trained for this purpose in the same systematic way, but the biological mechanism is identical. The olfactory capability is comparable, and in some frequency ranges, superior. What does cancer detection behavior look like? It's obsessive, directed, specific. It's the focused, repeated return to one location, the kind of behavior a cat displays when they've found something they can't identify. They aren't diagnosing cancer. They don't know what they're detecting. They're just responding to a smell that is different, that keeps drawing their attention, that they can't categorize. The pre-ictal phase of a seizure involves chemical changes detectable by smell and subtle behavioral changes that a highly attuned observer can register before any human would notice. Some cats respond to the pre-ictal phase of their owner's seizures with alert behaviors that begin before any human observer would notice anything wrong. Prior to a stroke, the body undergoes vascular changes that produce associated metabolic changes. There are accounts of cats displaying unusual agitated behavior in the hours before their owners suffered strokes. Behavior that wasn't recognized as significant until after the fact. This is the challenge of early warning. You don't know what you're being warned about until it happens. All of the above focuses on physical health, but your cat is also monitoring your emotional and psychological health with the same sophistication. Chronic depression produces measurable changes in cortisol, serotonin metabolites, and other biochemical markers present in the body's output. Anxiety disorders produce sustained elevated adrenaline and cortisol signatures. These are not invisible to your cat. Multiple studies show cats demonstrate behavioral changes in response to owners experiencing depression, spending more time in physical contact, showing more affiliative behaviors. These behaviors are interpreted as emotional support. They may be both that and something more, a biological response to a biochemical signal that tells the cat their person needs attention. This is one of the reasons the human-cat bond has real, documented therapeutic benefits. Your cat is responding to your emotional chemistry, not just emotionally, but physiologically. The contact and companionship they provide in response produces hormonal changes in you, oxytocin release, cortisol reduction, that are clinically measurable. Your cat isn't just being sweet, they're doing something with precision. Pay attention to changes rather than absolute behaviors. A cat that has always sniffed you is doing something different from a cat that suddenly begins sniffing a specific location. When a behavior focuses on a specific body location persistently over days or weeks, have that location looked at. You don't need to explain why. Just get it checked. When your cat wakes you repeatedly in the night in ways they previously didn't, and you've ruled out simple hunger or behavioral causes, consider whether your sleep quality has actually changed. When your cat's behavior towards you changes significantly in any way you can't attribute to an environmental cause, consider whether the signal is coming from inside. From inside you, trust the instrument. Your cat's nose is one of the most sophisticated detection devices on Earth. It has been pointed at you continuously for the duration of your relationship. The relationship between cats and humans is tens of thousands of years old. For most of that time, we lived in close physical contact in conditions where human illness was often a death sentence. The cats that detected illness early, that alerted to it, that prompted their owners toward awareness, those cats may have contributed to human survival in ways we'll never be able to measure. The sensitivity we're talking about wasn't an evolutionary accident. It may have been part of why the relationship formed and persisted. Your cat is not a medical device. They cannot tell you what they're detecting or what it means, but they can detect it, and they can respond. And they do. The next time your cat does something you don't understand, focuses on a part of your body, wakes you at night, follows you in ways they never have before, consider the possibility that they understand something about your body that you don't. And take it seriously, not because they're infallible, not because they're a substitute for medicine, but because they are the most attentive monitor you have, and they're always on. They see you in the morning, before you've composed yourself. They're with you at 3 a.m. when no one else is. They know your body's rhythms better than your doctor who sees you once a year. And when something in those rhythms changes, when the chemistry shifts, when the electrical field changes, when the breath tells a different story, they notice. Every cat that has ever followed their owner room to room for no apparent reason. Every cat that has ever stared at a specific spot. Every cat that has ever woken their person in the night for reasons no one could explain. Some of those behaviors were just cats being cats, but some of them were something more. And the only way to know which is to pay attention. You have lived with a biological detection system of extraordinary sophistication for years. You have probably dismissed most of what it was trying to tell you. That changes today, because now you know what to listen for. And you know that when the signal changes, when the behavior shifts, when your cat tells you something without words, you listen, because the most important things your cat tells you are the ones you almost miss. And the ones you almost miss are the ones that matter most. Subscribe to PSYKORUM, because the most important things your cat tells you are the ones you almost miss.